Hi, I'm Hansika, and I'm starting a YouTube channel. I feel like doing this because I've spent many years creating, writing, making scenes, putting thoughts into written form, and also a lot of time not creating, being in really intense cocoons with myself. And that's, I think, just part of life. That is how we operate in seasons. But there's a calling to share my voice in a different way with the world. I will keep making zines, I will keep writing. I'm also currently working on a book. But there's a desire to share my thoughts and my voice, perhaps through this medium. So I'm giving it a go. I am not starting it to reach anywhere with it. I am starting it to just share my voice, share my thoughts, share perspectives, share learnings, and just share whatever my heart and soul desires. Yeah, so welcome to my YouTube channel. It feels a bit absurd saying this because I never thought I would do this, but when your heart and soul is just like drawing you towards something, I feel like it's always important to listen. So I'm just listening to this voice inside. I often get asked, where am I from? I find it such a hard question to answer. I was born and raised in Indonesia. I lived here until I was 13. I say here because I am now back here after a really long time, for a couple of months. I lived in Shanghai between 13 to 17. And then when I was 17, I moved to London. And I was there until my early 20s, until 23. And then I moved to India with a lot of curiosity about like connecting with my roots and learning more about like my culture, because that is something that I felt so disconnected to growing up. Because technically my ancestors, they're from Sindh, Pakistan. And it only became Pakistan because India and Pakistan were split. So I've always found it really difficult to answer this question, where are you from? For the last 7.5 years, I have lived in India. I was first in Bombay and then in Goa. And whenever I would get asked this question, sometimes I would give the whole spiel about my ancestors actually being from Sindh. So technically I'm from Pakistan, but that I was born and raised in Indonesia. And sometimes, just to make my life easier, I would even just say Bombay, because I have lived there, and my family from my mother's side had some roots there at some point, for some time. Yeah, I think it's such an interesting question, like, that we like to ask people. But it's also not so straightforward of an answer in the world we live in. Like, we all have so much migration in our history, even if we're not aware of it, like because of just the way the world is. Yeah, and I'm sure there are also people whose families have been rooted for generations, and I wonder what that would feel like. Because, yeah, I think that was an experience that like my ancestors lost because they fled Pakistan when partition happened. Yeah. I will be just sharing whatever I feel like sharing on this channel without much thought and just listening to my heart and my soul. Snippets from my zines, ramblings and thoughts on different perspectives about life and spirituality and politics and just everything. Literally everything. Because at different points in my life, I have been interested in different things, and I don't believe that any of that was random. It led me here to this point now with myself. I have a lot of thoughts on a lot of things, so I think this medium is going to be an interesting medium for me to be able to share them. I've also been a bit disconnected from Instagram, feeling like it's not what it used to be at one point, it feels like, but also it's just such a small way to share things, actually. Like, there's so much depth that sometimes can't be translated to Instagram. Like, you can't possibly translate that into like a small carousel post. And yeah, like, I just don't fully resonate with like short form content anymore. So I think there's a part of me that's curious about exploring long form content through this medium. I also was very uncomfortable speaking in front of a camera a few years ago. So to be here now, like, feels like a huge thing. Like, to just trust the words that want to flow, to not overthink it at all, and just like really be with my heart and my soul and my body. Yeah, it feels special. So if you are watching this, thank you. I'm grateful you are here, and I'm curious to see where this journey leads me. Welcome to my YouTube channel.